We use volunteers in our habitat restoration projects, and over the past 7 or 8 years we've had about 1,600 volunteers helping us rip out invasive weeds and replace them with native plants. By getting their hands dirty, by being out in the watershed and seeing this wonderful environment that we have, people are learning to care about the Hylebos, they're learning to care about the trees around them, and they're learning what they need to do or what they can do to be effective advocates and stewards of the environment.
If you don't have volunteers working with you, then you don't have the community working with you. But if it's the volunteers and the community that's doing this work, then it matters to them. And that really is the way to make long-term change.
Adele and I as a team keep the edges of the boardwalk clear so that people can get down the boardwalk, but we try to leave it wild and woolly so it doesn't look manicured. We also count the salmon when the salmon migrate up West Hylebos Creek into Brook Lake. About the same time that I found the West Hylebos Wetland Preserve, we went to war in Iraq, and both my son and daughter are with the 101st Airborne, and this has become my sanctuary. I come down here usually early in the morning, and it's quiet and it's peaceful, and I trim the trail and there's just me and God and the animals, and it helps me cope with the stress of these multiple deployments and having my kids over in the Mideast putting their lives on the line.
I think that everything has a right to live somewhere, and that we need to be caretakers for those places and for the things that can't speak for themselves. The trees, the birds, the animals, even the insects and slugs. They're not things that are generally regarded every day. And the other thing about it is that this kind of an area, the West Hylebos Wetlands and other wild places within urban areas, they are such important places for people to go and relax and reconnect.
No matter how Federal Way otherwise builds out, if it's protected long term, people will always have it available to them as an asset and as a learning experience. The biggest challenge that we have for the preservation of resources, natural resources, long term is essentially population growth in an otherwise very physically constrained geographic area. We are on the verge of adding another 1.2 million people to the 4-county region in the next 20 years.
It's a treasure and we have to protect it. If we don't, it'll become another condominium. It'll become the next Jack in the Box. And there won't be any river otters, and there won't be any muskrats, and it'll all be gone.
We can't just sit back and be satisfied and assume that it will all will be well without attending to it.
The environment has changed dramatically from those early days, and the need for this has increased tenfold, maybe 100-fold. So I'm glad that people then had the foresight to realize how important this was going to be, not just to be, but going to be for the region as it grew.
So we've come to understand that wetland systems contribute a huge amount to the quality of our life and literally to life. And if we're not careful in their retention, they can harm us, especially long term. The wetland systems that are left are to be left alone or to be enhanced if we can all do it.
Since Ilene passed away, we've been able to work with many different partners to bring about hundreds of acres of habitat preservation and many restoration projects that have made the watershed a healthier place. And and I often think about, what would Ilene think about this project? Would Ilene be as excited as I am about this project? And I think she'd be very happy about the positive direction of the Hylebos.
They were remarkable. And it does tell you what two people with singular mindedness will accomplish. And I think it speaks highly for any of us who have a mission that we don't get dissuaded.
She managed to preserve this system, and there are so many more out there that are worth preserving. So don't give up. You know, if you see something special, work on it and fight for it.
You know, you look around here and you just see what's available and how many regions, not just of this county, but of this country, have this kind of enclave that the average citizen has access to.
We haven't ruined it. It's still there, and so we have a real precious window of opportunity to preserve these habitats before growth pressures might swallow them up.
There's something special about this place. It's magical to me, but I know everybody that I bring here goes away thanking me or thanking the city for preserving this place.
I love to drive by the Hylebos and just shout hooray. I think it's important that we celebrate successes in the community, and that is a success.
If Francis and Ilene were around today, Francis would have a big smile on his face and he'd be sharing a cup of coffee as he walked around the boardwalk looking at all our accomplishments. Ilene would be giving us a good grade, but she'd be encouraging us to do more. She had that school teacher mentality of wanting to encourage her students to do more. And in fact, we're all still her students. And it's all about maintaining that legacy and maintaining the dream. This generation and then the next generation.
It only takes an hour a week, half an hour a week, 15 minutes a week. All those little 15 minutes add up. It makes a difference in your life. It makes a difference in everyone else's life. It makes a difference to the community. It makes the world a better place. And it doesn't cost anything.